July 1st. It's not a cliff. It's actually a trapdoor. Why the CUSMA USMCA review, what it actually triggers, and why it could drag on for a decade. So I'm Jack Jackson, Manufacturers Daily. Let's get into it. July 1st, 2026. It's on every manufacturer's radar, the CUSMA review date. The day the agreement either gets renewed or something else happens. Looking like something else is going to happen so far, being a few weeks or 6 weeks away. We're not sitting at the table, so the agreement. So CUSMA doesn't expire July 1st. The agreement runs until 2036. July 1st is a review trigger, and the trigger is actually more concerning than the expiry. Here's why. On July 1st, each country has 3 options. Renew the deal for another 16 years. Unlikely right now, the way it seems. Withdraw from the deal, but that takes 10 years under the sunset clause. Or signal non-renewal without withdrawing, which triggers annual reviews. That's the worst. The third option is the trapdoor. Annual review means every year for a decade, the United States gets to reopen the agreement. Every year is a new negotiation. Every year is new uncertainty for manufacturers crossing the border, supply chains, and prices. U.S. Trade Representative Greer has already said publicly that the U.S. may need to formally signal non-renewal in order to continue negotiations past July 1st. So he's not even hiding his strategy. What does Canada's negotiator say? Janice Schratt told reporters last month that July 1st should be seen as a checkpoint, not a cliff. The talks will continue past that date. She's right, it's not a cliff, but a checkpoint isn't reassuring either. A checkpoint means that you're being evaluated, and right now, Canada's even at the negotiating table. Official talks between Canada and the U.S. have not launched, but the U.S. is negotiating with Mexico this week. They're sitting down this week, and we're not there. So here's a scenario trade analysts are now discussing openly. The U.S. signals non-renewal on July 1st. Annual reviews begin. The U.S. uses each annual review as a leverage on dairy, on digital rules, auto content, aluminum, steel, copper, whatever current irritant there is to poke us, poke Canada. For Canadian manufacturers, that means a decade of uncertainty baked into every cross-border business decision. Investment decisions, I got to believe they'll be delayed. Supply chain partnerships have to get reevaluated. U.S. buyers start asking their Canadian suppliers, are you going to still qualify next year with or without tariffs? I was in that position when we got hit with the tariffs back in March 2025. In April, we got our first bills, which we didn't even know because we thought we were CUSMA exempt. Man, all of a sudden, customers were asking, what's going on? How are we going to continue? Well, I didn't have any answers. I didn't know. I ran them down to the States to try to find somebody to see if they could make our machinery, because I knew that this is not looking good. Anyways, as you know, I've said before, I ended up selling the company in November 25 and moved it to the States. That's why I'm here. So, this is not a cliff. This is an actual decade-long drain, just slowly draining your brain like it did for me, but mine was only for a year, and that hurt enough. Not even a year. 10 months? 9 months? What this means for you, the manufacturer best positioned of any of these outcomes are the ones that are going to be that are fully documented right now, because you don't know when it's going to hit. Like me, if you at least have all your documentation there, you'll understand the rule. CUSMA or USMCA compliant goods are exempt right now from the new 10% global tariff, but they were exempt under IEEPA as well, and they were protected class in every scenario. So you think, until you go through the details when they pull your product aside, like me. The question for your business is not what happens on July 1st is the question is whether the paperwork will survive at the border when it's reviewed. So I'm Jack Jackson, Manufacturers Daily. July 1st is only 6 weeks away. It's not the end of CUSMA USMCA. It might be the beginning of something worse. Know which side of the documentation line you're on before that date arrives. Subscribe, share, and like. I will see you tomorrow. Thanks for watching.